today in 2024 is like the internet was in 1995. So we are just scratching the surface. We don't even know what's going to come. Right? So in 1995, there was no Google, there was no Facebook. So these are companies that were built on the internet. So the companies that will be built, huge businesses that will be built on AI are not even started. Okay, so everybody's been following NVIDIA. How many of you own NVIDIA stock? Okay, all of you guys, it's down now. I also buy WhatsApp. So, but guess what? NVIDIA is not the AI company. It will not be the biggest AI company. NVIDIA is just building the highway for AI. NVIDIA is like the AOL of 1995. 1995, the companies with AOL, they were the cable companies, right? So this we're still very, very early on with AI. So this is something that also we want to make sure that you guys understand that if you're late, you're not late. Okay, there's nothing about late. We're still, this whole journey is ahead of us. So great time to be in this business. I call it the golden age of artificial intelligence. We're in the golden age of AI. Why? Breakthrough compute and memory subsystems. This is where NVIDIA and all those people come in. So they've been able to build, and then even the folks here from IBM, quantum computing. I mean, this is all, we're at the onset of a huge, growth in terms of compute power and memory. Innovative software and algorithms. We've heard of a lot of these things. Today, AI can do a lot of stuff. I mean, facial recognition. There is narrow intelligence, general narrow intelligence. There's a lot of stuff that is happening already. We are part of IBM. IBM Watson existed a long time back. I would say around 15 years back. They did some of this stuff, but AI got known by everybody, got democratized, became sexy. I think 22 months back when ChatGPT was launched, right? That's now everybody knows about it, right? But some of this was already happening, but all these things did not come in together. Now all of this has come together, so this is now right. This is the time for us to jump on. Massive data sets, whatever data you want to work for. Right? You can go either within your companies or outside or in the industry. A lot of data sets available. Ubiquitous connectivity and massive bandwidth. Like I remember working for a company which had thousands of employees, and we had dial-up internet. We had dial-up internet for 1,000 employees. Like, I can't even think about it now. The dial-up internet, just my 14-year-old would give up, right? So we've come a very long way, but that's where with AI you need the internet and the connectivity. So you need to connect. Like today, we wanted to put up a store here, but we didn't have enough internet, so we wanted to put an AI store in the event. But we couldn't. So some of these things are prerequisites. You do need. So you can't just go and hey, we're going to do an AI thing somewhere. It won't work. So it is, but we're getting there, right? I mean, so it is something to think about. AI is new. I'll give you a little example. I think you have a video here. Okay. One second. How does the video play? That's right. Okay. So have a look at this. Now a user comes in, taps a device, and there is no app, there is nothing on the person's phone. Just taps your Apple Pay, taps the Google Pay, picks the thing out, taps, and walks away. Now we have our friends from Chinnan Bank here, Mr. Park. This is how banking will get revolutionized. You don't need to have even an account or anything, right? You could potentially tap your phone. We talked about this at the 407. You could potentially, like this is, they don't even have an account. This is like not Amazon Go, the first edition of that. You need to have Amazon Go account, right? Today, you tap, you already said, I am good for this money. I have my Visa or Amex or something. It knows what you've taken, and that's it. The AI, okay. So this is truly AI is a new UI. There is no app. There is nothing. No account. Nothing. So so we're working on the premise that if somebody has a Visa card if somebody has a bank card, somebody has an Amex, they're already here, right? We've already been assuming that they're there. So you are piggybacking on networks. You're piggybacking. Some of you who've gone to India. In India now they have a global network. Right? There is the universal, like the similar to a SIN number. They have a number that's available to anybody. So you can actually authenticate yourself with that number. So with your phone, you authenticate yourself. We know that you are XYZ, and so the security part is taken care of. And again, if there's the potential for fraud or whatever, you can put some limits to it. But it's made the whole process frictionless. You don't need to have anything. All you need is your phone. So this is truly what we call AI's new UI, and I think we are going to see more of these being built, more applications in a B2C framework, but also from a B2B framework. By the way, we have this store built at our office downtown Toronto, so if you want to come and visit, you can actually see the store and play with it. And Tangentia is going to be offering this to our customers as well. Think of it, you're in the hotel business, you want to have a store that runs 24/7. You're an airport, how many people go to Newark, the new Newark airport? So this new Newark airport is the older version of this, where you can actually, it runs on trust. So people pick an item and then you go to scan it. This is not on trust. This is actually, you can actually validate it, and AI will tell you, okay, where did this guy go, and if you didn't pay, so you have everything in place. So autonomous enterprise, again, I think we're going to go into more detail. Yeah, 2 minutes, okay. So quick to autonomous enterprise. So we're saying we want to get to autonomous enterprise. So if some of you in positions of power and responsibility in companies, if you want to go to autonomous enterprise, capture the bottom-up and top-down energy. What I've seen in companies is the senior leadership goes attend conferences and stuff like that. They know this is the future. The bottom guys, because they're younger, they also know that they're already on it, right? So I went to how many of you have ChatGPT on your phones? Yeah, there's some hands that didn't go up. Okay, but if you go to a younger group, everybody is doing ChatGPT. They look at me funny and say, "What kind of question is this?" Right? Yes, we all have ChatGPT. They all use ChatGPT. Right? So you got to get that bottom-up energy, diverse perspective, adjust and have emerging skills. If your kids, obviously you already know this, prompt engineering is probably one of the good, career paths out there. You need to be able to talk to the LLMs and obviously get the right gear. Quickly go to this autonomous journey. We think there's multiple ways of doing it. One of the cruise ship. You hire a big consulting company. Adventure cruise. This is where we think Tangentia, we come in. We're boutique. We kind of work with you. We get adventure cruise. You still get a little skin in the game. And rafting trip is, hey, it's bare knuckles. You go in and do it yourself. But you obviously can get bare knuckles as well. Tangentia, since we last met, a couple of quick things I want to talk about. We've got multiple more countries. We're committed to Forrester, RPA, Service Landscape 2023. Big round of applause to everybody on our team that made help us. Success story. I'll quickly run through this. All of you, many of you that live in Ontario. Yes, we were the company that did the beer in convenience stores. So that went live just last week. So a lot of people there that working on that. So the LCBO, thanks to being a monopoly, is also the world's largest beverage alcohol distributor. So we got 4,000 stores, convenience stores, up to speed in that one day. On one day, all 4,000 were live. We also have a company called Surti. I think Surti is here, but what we did here is a new thing that we talk, and I think this is very relevant. We think, we call this a surround ERP strategy. So many of you probably invested money in ERP systems, the big legacy applications. Now, SAP for one. Now, SAP is really expensive, and if you want SAP to do something for you, it is very difficult and expensive and time consuming. So what we did here is build an agile, low wrapper around SAP. So you've got a wrapper around SAP that is low code, that is mobile, that can do all the things that you want to. But SAP now moves from being a system of record and a system of engagement to only being a system of record. So employees engage with this lightweight layer, but you do using APIs, you can still update SAP or whatever your ERP system is. So your system of record continues, but you don't need people engaging with SAP. And the side benefit, we don't have anything with SAP here. I'll say this: you need less SAP licenses. Okay, so any of you in finance will know that that's a good thing. Okay, so we're now in multiple places. We've got offices in the US, multiple places in the US and in Mexico. We got Ivan here from Mexico City. Where's Ivan? Right there in the back. And I'll leave you with this last thought. In the age of AI, if we as a human race, if all of us or even businesses were to survive, we would have to be human. In the age of AI, be human. I'll leave you with that, and over to you, Keith. And welcome again, and hope you guys have a great tech summit, great golf day, and then we also ordered great weather. And we've got some awards to be given in the evening, so please stay till the end. But if you need to go and do some work and come back in the evening, please do that as well. So thank you and welcome again.
Thank you, Vijay, and that was quite insightful and sets the stage for the rest of the morning. Our next speaker is Kyoko Kobayashi from CIO Association of Canada and a community partner for today's Tech Summit. A bit about Kyoko. Kyoko is the founding partner of the CIO's Beyond Borders group located in Toronto, Ontario, a non-profit organization dedicated to leadership development for IT business leaders who are seeking to advance their careers and drive transformation to success with their organizations. Kyoko is currently an instructor and course designer of leadership programs at the University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies, and she also currently serves on the board of the CIO Association of Canada, as well as the not-for-profit organization. Kyoko, I request you to come on stage and share your valuable insights on the 10 themes of CIOs in 2024 and beyond, and about the association. Thank you, Kyoko.
Thanks. I'm really pleased to be here today. I didn't know it was going to be live streamed. But I'm very pleased to be here and to be invited as a community partner with Tangentia. So really thank you very much. And thank you for organizing such a beautiful day. So I'm going to talk a little bit about CIO Canada before I talk about the key themes that we're going to focus on this year. So I see a few of my colleagues from CIO Canada. How many people know about CIO Canada? A few. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. There we go. So we are an association across Canada. We have 9 chapters across all of coast to coast, and most of the major centers in Canada. So, and including a CISO division, which is across Canada. Just in terms of the timeline, we actually started in 1998 with a small group of people, and then in 2004 it was established as an official Canadian cross-country association. So 2024 is the 20th anniversary of being together as an association. And we've been adding chapters along the way, and in 2023 we added the Maritime, so we are truly coast to coast. So we are an association of IT leaders, primarily CIOs, CEOs, and IT generation leaders as well. And so it's really, Anita talked about the value of networking. So that is really the biggest value proposition CIO Canada has. It's an opportunity for CIOs, IT leaders to meet and talk about the issues of the day and learn from each other. knowledge, share their experiences, and learn from each other. I think that's really what people enjoy about being a member. We also talk about thought leadership. We also have opportunities for people to come together on topics of the day and share their thoughts, learn from each other. So we recently had a session on generative AI, and we talked about where are you on this journey. And some people came to share their journey. Some people said, we haven't started yet, but I want to learn from others. So that was a great discussion. We also have just started a destination for CIOs. So last year we launched the official CIO.D designation program, partnering with Markham. And it's an opportunity for CIOs and upcoming CIOs to officially certify themselves and get a CIO.D designation. And that's so in September of last year, we launched our inaugural program, and that cohort is sold out. We're just starting another one in September, a couple of these actually, and that's sold out. So it's become a very, very popular program. I won't read these. There are some testimonials of people who are saying what I just talked about, the value of networking, the value of learning from each other, etc. So I'll skip ahead to, we really want to hear about this, the topics that we're focused on for 2024 and beyond. So as DJ talked about, we're in an era of rapidly evolving technology, and everyone's talking about AI. And it's a significant challenge for CIOs to, so with all this AI hype going on, what do you focus on? You still have to keep the business running, and it's not just about AI. It's about all the things that you have to think about with AI. So we poll our members and ask them, what are you interested in? What are you concerned about? What are the issues of the day that keep you up at night, and what do you want to learn more about? And we got a variety of topics, and Ben's National Events team collated them and came up with some common themes. And these are the common themes that came up. And no surprise, AI is at the top of the list. And so, think about AI. AI is everywhere and permeates everything. So it's an all-encompassing topic that it permeates every single aspect of business today. And it shouldn't really be a topic unto itself, but rather integrated into all the other topics. However, there are some things specifically I have to think about as we're thinking about AI implementation. So that said, our CIOs are interested and concerned about AI in the following areas. So what is their AI strategy? What governance need to put in place or adapt to include AI? Cyber resilience and AI. So we talked about, not apps or not even an app, but paying for things, just scanning your phone. So you have to put security around that, and the cyber resilience, you have to think about that. And also as folks get smarter and AI is everywhere, like as DJ said, it's now embedded in all the UIs. How do you build that cyber security and resilience into that as people are now thinking about how do we use AI, because it's all out there. The customer experience in the age of AI, the customer journey, the expectations. You go to call center, you want customer service from anybody. The first thing you get is a chatbot. You don't even get to talk to a human being anymore. Right? So what are the issues and implications, the human factors around that? And then the deployment of enterprise AI solutions. What are the use cases? What are the case studies that you can look at to learn from? The next topic is talent management. This is where the human element comes into play. So how do you upskill? How do you skill for AI? How do you keep your workforce engaged? How do you hire the right talent? And how do you make sure that you're upskilling your existing workforce? What are the HR strategies for your technical teams? Because your technical, the structures, organizational structures, and IT teams maybe it's a little different. Because AI isn't just about technology, it's all about business process and business strategies. How do you manage the employee experience? What's, again, on the theme of talent management, what's the next step in the career of a CIO? Is it a CIO and a CTO that line is learning, even digital strategy? So what is the career path for a CIO? Next generation leaders, I talked about that. We do have a next generation leadership program within CIO Canada. So how do CIOs and technology leaders make sure that they're nurturing the next generation of leaders and creating a succession plan? How do you manage a remote workforce? It still is a hybrid workforce, and so how do you manage that? Data management, the next topic. As we get into AI, there's lots more data sources, higher volumes of data, integrating data, managing data. So how do you manage that? And then you need compute power for all of that data. So I've also heard that this year for quantum computing. Enterprise risk management, effective management of third parties. We all probably were impacted by the CrowdStrike thing. So how do you manage third parties and vendors? And again, cybersecurity is a big topic there. The next topic is managing the board. If you're a CIO, you're often sitting at the board, presenting to the board. How do you educate them? How do you communicate with them and tell a story? The last item is a bit of a bucket for all the things that didn't fit into the other categories. What are the strategies for sustainability? CIOs need to care about that. Companies need to care about that. Leadership in a time of digital disruptions, because we're continually going to be hit with disruptions. Change management. In technology, I talked about technology org structures that need to be adapted. And balancing operational stability with innovation. So those are that's a bit list for the topics that we're going to be covering on.
Thank you. Thank you, Vito. I would now like to introduce you to our keynote speaker, Peter Kirkwood, who is the principal at the Zenove. Peter is the principal at Zenove, specializing in the technology and research insights and business growth and transformation practice, so with over 2 decades of industry experience across healthcare, public sector, SMB, biometrics, identity domain. And Peter brings in a wealth of experience to serve 4,500 companies. He excels in market expansion, go-to-market, customer strategy, technology research, and insight in the modern technology domain. Addressing critical strategy challenges, he delivers high-impact ideas, executable strategies, investment, ROI plans, for a wow customer experience. Peter, over to you to wow the audience. Thanks so much, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Does this one work better? Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Vijay and the Tangentia team for having me. This is a very exciting time with a transformative shift in what automation is. We're moving from automating specific tasks to an autonomous enterprise that can deliver business value. Interestingly, the word autonomy comes from the Greek word autonomos, which means to live by one's own laws. This drives right to my first point, that autonomous automation breaks the rules. This is really a shift in how things are done and how we need to interact with these tools. My second point is that generative AI adds a powerful force multiplier across this whole technology set. And third, we need to consider how to achieve this vision through a better definition of governance, which is not just risk, but also value creation. It's amazing how far we've come in this journey already. We started over on this side of the slide with these clunky old computers that people would joke about calling them a labor-saving device because of how much effort and expertise went into setting it up to conduct an explicit task. Compare that to the iPhone of today. A 5-year-old can pick it up and use thousands of apps in minutes intuitively. That's the same kind of leap we're looking at with autonomous automation. As it progressed through this journey, it became more powerful and able to automate more complex tasks, but it was still focused on tasks. We're emerging from that mindset. As we move to autonomous enterprise, this should be able to deliver business value. And what's different is that it brings more data together and it can finally understand context of what you're trying to achieve instead of just doing what it's told. The future of intelligent automation will be frictionless, powerful, and ubiquitous. It'll be the user interface to solve problems and drive your business. Comparing traditional automation, it's great. You go through and set up the decision and then watch it and make sure it keeps behaving as you expect it to. Autonomous enterprise changes that model. It's different because of the convergence of three inputs: more unified data, more powerful tools, and that understanding of context where you're trying to achieve. These can be self-learning systems that work across an entire value chain. And they bring expert decisions and execution of tasks to the table with them. The leap is like taking a GPS that used to only provide X and Y coordinates, show you where you are, to a system that can really support your driving experience, help you with directions, weather, other insights, even help drive your car if need be. Perhaps the most exciting part of this is the self-learning systems. As systems interact with customers more, they keep getting better. One thing that I was thinking about this week with rumors of the Air Canada pilot strike is how to get home. How many people are going to call the call center the moment that gets announced and try to rebook? The call center is immediately overwhelmed, and it takes time for individual agents to realize there's a pattern here and figure out what to do about it. An autonomous system sees all of those inputs at once, can figure out how to respond and take action immediately. It's also able to scale to deal with those volume spikes in a way that a human organization can't. This is fundamentally a shift from executing a task to achieving a goal. A shift from explicit instruction to intelligent learning systems. A move from efficiency to strategy. Here's an example of an invoicing process. You can automate the process to send an invoice, but in the real world, it's always more complicated. The inputs aren't clean, the outputs aren't clean, people have questions and need to go back and forth a lot. With an autonomous system, you can focus on the whole procure-to-pay value stream. It's trying to drive that business outcome forward. What's great about this is it can have more autonomy and see if there's a problem. Prices are trending up, it can propose actions to fix it. Maybe you change your production schedule or buy things in advance. Those strategies and insights are something it brings to the table, where with an explicit system, it wouldn't have access to that. A very tangible example is Six Flags. They're really at the leadership of implementing autonomous automation 2.0. I'd love to ask, how many people here have planned a family trip to a big theme park like this? Or a large group of friends? It's complicated, right? There's a lot of options, so much to do, and most difficult is all of the opinions, priorities, and high hopes for the people you're going with. Asking a system to data retrieve one piece of information at a time while you're trying to map where to go first, where to use your fast pass, what time to have lunch, what if it rains, you're there forever, and it's frustrating. Six Flags was able to bring a more holistic experience to that, where you could talk with the chatbot and get a personalized visit plan that ties all those different variables together for you. So much more powerful and a very different customer experience. And you can see that difference in the number of outcomes it drives. This isn't just talking about cost savings, although you do get that. The improvement in the customer experience does a lot to build brand loyalty, and you can optimize your operation much better by knowing where the bottlenecks are and seeing where the demand is on a given day. On the talent side, it absolutely helps with staffing. It helps your people focus on more interesting parts of the business. This technology is built on really 5 pillars. The first is discovery. This is the diagnostic step. Look at what's going on, get the data together, have a good view of your business. In something like insurance claims, you can figure out what the delays are in processing, look for patterns of fraud, potentially find problems that could be costing you millions of dollars a year in opportunities. Then there's digitization of data. You need to take all the unstructured information from lots of different sources and bring it together in a way that you've got a good view of your operation. Integrating is how you bring that data together. You have APIs and remote process automation to bring all the data in across your organization and potentially reaching out to partners and customers to link into their data as well. Interacting has two key parts. The low-code, no-code makes it much easier to set these tools up. That's how you control the tool. And then the virtual agents are the interface that people within your company and your customers can use to benefit from this. It's how you get the value out of it. Generate is the thing that's new and really defines this shift. It has intelligent content creation, and that's more than just drafting a paper for you. You can build entire multimedia campaigns around it. So there's much more richness to it. This is all built on intelligent technologies like computer vision, natural language processing, built on next generation infrastructure, making it both robust and scalable. Generative AI isn't just one box in that picture. It really is an explosive force multiplier across all these different activities. In intelligent document processing, if you can make a set of documentation once and then summarize it, put it in different formats, put it in different languages, it really lets one set of documentation go global and be used across purposes. Process automation is going to be far more flexible. Instead of just following a simple path, it can handle a much more complicated problem. The example I like is billing in the US healthcare system. It's labyrinthine. We have so many people working in hospitals submitting bills and resubmitting bills and trying to collect that payment. We have customers who are confused. We have a similar number of people at the insurance companies reviewing and determining to reject or process payments. And then there's a whole outside industry for payment processing systems because they need that extra support. With an intelligent system, it doesn't just fill in the form saying this is the procedure we did, here's how we get paid. It can look at that for precedence. Is there anything here that would raise a flag? Was the procedure labeled correctly, or was there a different, clearer way to put that together? If something is rejected, it can iterate with the insurance company to get it processed, provide precedence or prove that it's best practice from data in order to reprocess that and move everything through a lot faster. The low-code application development keeps making programming faster. A recent study by Zinnov showed that generative AI adds 40% efficiency to the speed of development. So that's really a game changer. It also makes it more accessible to less technical people. Even a business person can speak to the tool in real time using real language to get results. Intelligent virtual agents are becoming far more powerful and much more like a human interaction. Over time, they can learn and have access to more data. They may even be better than humans in some ways. For content creation, there's a great example with Mongoose Media. They did entire multimedia campaigns, and they saw that by applying generative AI, they got a 166% boost to organic traffic, 400% increase in content creation speed, and a reduction of 240 hours a month in blog writing efforts. So there's a range of benefits there. As these technologies move forward, they'll become more integrated, creating synergies that drive the next wave of digital transformation. As these technologies become real, businesses are seeing this and scaling up their investment. And that proven ROI is what's going to drive this market size well past $200 billion in the next few years. The benefits driving this, of course, start with cost. That's one we're familiar with. But then it moves into qualitative. By improving the customer experience, you're building brand loyalty and really changing the way they interact with you, as well as making things better for your employees who can focus on real human interaction where it adds value. Productivity is more than just another term for efficiency. It lets people increase the scope of what they're doing, their speed to market, and their business agility. Then we get into more strategic drivers. The data-driven decisioning really shows up at the macro and the micro level. If you look at content creation firms like Amazon and Netflix, at the strategy level, they can see what the demand is and what new content they should create. And then at the micro level, they're giving you tailored recommendations for content you'll enjoy to consume. And it can do this in real time. Finally, innovation speed is the lifeblood of a technology enterprise. Being able to experiment faster to find the right products to bring to market, be able to develop it faster so that you can get to market first, and then continue iterating as you get customer feedback to stay the best. Interestingly, about half of the value in this whole picture is generated by services companies. So let's look at them. There's a few different tiers of service providers here, and you can see the market now is dominated by the high-value management consultants and the large system integrators. They have huge resources, deep expertise, and global reach. Then there's a mid-tier that's a bit of a bridge between that global picture and the specific needs of companies. But what's exciting is how fast the value is being created in those boutique system integrators. They're going from less than 15% of the market to upwards of 30% very quickly. And I believe this is driven by three things. One, they're very dedicated to developing that deep expertise in automation and AI so that they can solve these problems well through a consulting-led approach to get value within weeks instead of months or years. Second, they have more personal relationships. They go deeper on their understanding of the customer and get more executive involvement to drive that to completion, instead of pushing a one-size-fits-all package. Last, they can be more flexible in financing. They can tackle smaller pilot projects with you efficiently, and even take a big vision and break it up into a modular approach. So it's not all capital up front. You can get value as you go and use the value from the early stages to pay for the later. So the challenges these service companies help you address. Do any of these look familiar to people? I see a couple nods. How many people here feel that they have a really clear future strategy for AI? A couple, and that's because it's hard. This is changing very quickly, and a lot of people don't fully understand the end state. So it's a big challenge. Finding enough of the workforce is critical everywhere. A lot of companies are scaling up fast, but when they talk about AI ready, most of that is people that know how to use the tools, not really implement them. Data readiness is probably one of the first things I'd recommend people work on. If you start even a small pilot project, the data's not ready, you can't move forward at all. You're stopped right at day one. So that's a great early place to focus. Security and compliance is critical for any IT program. The issue here is that adding intelligent automation increases the surface area somewhat. So you have to be very careful that you're doing it deliberately. And the difficulty scaling is both a human and a technology problem. When you go from a narrowly defined workflow to something enterprise-wide, it is exponential in how many different data sources you have to integrate to, the data formats, and the number of stakeholders you impact. And make sure you're managing the stakeholders as well, or you're going to really struggle with that scaling up. One of the biggest challenges here is governance. And this is where there's a lot that's new, both in the risks and in the opportunities. In order to get governance, some of the challenges with governance is that this is different in that it's deciding and executing things somewhat on its own. You're creating parameters, but you're not explicitly telling it if A, then B. It directly interacts with the customer, and I'm sure you've all heard something about hallucinations and some of the other risks. You see some others here about making sure you're not getting into bias. The way you address this is really through three legs. First, make sure you include a diverse team, get lots of perspectives, so that you're seeing the problems in as many ways as possible. Then, for the process, you need a systematic approach to assess the risks, determine how to mitigate them, and then have a system in place to track them as it goes forward. And last, technology. Start from the beginning, make sure it's transparent, and in the interest of sustainability, as efficient as possible. But that's only one side of the coin. The other is the opportunity, and that's where the role of governance really changes from the traditional. This can be a profit center. You need to look at tools as they become more intelligent, more as a promising young employee. You want to set them up for success. You don't bring them in day one and just throw them a task and say, go do, without explaining it. You want to provide the system the context so they know your goals and can work towards business value. Then you make sure they're well aligned with their team. If your team isn't well aligned with intelligent automation, you're not going to get the full value out of it. You do still need guardrails on a new employee or a powerful tool like this, but those reviews where you check in on where it's going are a chance to teach and improve the way it gives you the outputs you want. Sometimes you'll course correct it and it gets smarter that way. Other times it'll have a perspective that you didn't think of. It can bring you fresh insights. For the roadmap, we start with planning. Make sure you've got that plan squared away first. Otherwise, it's like building a house without a blueprint. It's really hard to get to the right end state. For targeting the use cases, JP Morgan Chase is an excellent example of this. They knew that their brand was about customer service, so that's where they focused their automation first. They drove quick wins, focused on making that customer experience as powerful as it could be. And using that North Star made it very easy to choose where to go first. So identify your goal for this program and use that as your North Star. Once you've got that, assess your resources. You need to know what you have for skills, your data in great detail, who your partner is, what your current systems are. That will lead you to the right fit for platforms to use. And then govern effectively. I know it's last in the order here, but it shouldn't be last in your plan. In summary, autonomous automation, turbocharged by AI, breaks the rules. It's a game changer. We're moving from task automation to achieving business value. Second, this change broadens the benefits from efficiency alone to include customer experience, innovation speed, real-time agility, and informed strategy. The key to success is careful planning, preparing automation-ready data, having the right partner, and taking that broader view of governance as a value driver. Remember, the journey to automation doesn't have to be intimidating. It can feel like teaching a cat to fetch, but with the right plan and some persistence, you can get there. Remember, if you have any questions or want to share your automation success stories or cat training tips, please feel free to reach out. I look forward to talking with you all later. Thanks. Great. Hello, this one's working. I know we have a few more minutes. If anyone has questions or comments, I'd be happy to discuss.
So we have this opportunity to ask some viewers in the industry to understand how do you start or scale your automation programs and AI. So let's use this opportunity to ask any questions if you may have.
Peter, thank you for the presentation. Do you think AI should be regulated?
It certainly could. It also terrifies me. Like so many other scary technologies, bioengineering or nuclear, if you regulate it too much in one place, it just moves someplace else. Government absolutely has a role. The key is to balance that without stifling innovation. If industry leaders struggle to understand where this is going and the exact implications of some of these changes, that Congress would figure it out efficiently enough to walk that line is really hard. So I think we have to move forward, see the problems, and then try to address problems as they come. But it's a difficult line to walk for sure. Yes.
Thank you, Peter. I'm very interested in your presentation and great topic. One of the concerns on the observation on the AI, and again, it's not to challenge, so I'm very interested again. I took a lot of notes.
Great.
But the concerns on the AI is the output looks very similar when we prompt it.
Okay.
So at some point, companies would see similar results, like our AI generation will be very similar to company B, C, and D. So how you envision in this whole journey that this can be more customized to company preferences and identity, if I can say.
Sure.
Because again, today we may ask, I don't know, Siri or different AI engine to tell us a joke, they will say the same joke.
Sure.
We prompt ChatGPT is going to give us exactly the same message repeatedly. So how do you see this evolving? Thank you.
So there's two parts of it. One's the data, and the other's the prompt engineering. Early with ChatGPT, we all saw some amazing outputs it created, especially creative things like drawing pictures. And there was one article that came out about, here's a picture ChatGPT made 3 months ago and one it's making today. And the one it made today was just so much richer and more amazing. The part of the story you had to really dig into it to find was that they didn't use the same prompts. The person writing the prompt got smarter and provided a lot more detail on what they wanted in the picture. So the tool got better, but the prompt got better too. And the more you tailor that, the better your outcome's going to be.
I'll follow up to that, just another question. So do you think also two AI engines can be prompting each other?
I don't believe
Like
that.
an LLM prompting another LLM. So.
Oh, to stack it through? You probably could. I know they do some cross-checking like that to prevent hallucination, but I've always heard of it within the same LLM. They just had two different instances running, but in theory that works. The other side of how you individualize, though, is instead of just using the tool that's on the internet, if you set up your own instance and feed it with your branding, your content, your proposals, and then say, I want you to make a proposal for XYZ that follows our template, then it's leveraging your existing content and really matching that brand.
Yeah, and if I may just add, so actually what you just mentioned, not stacking, but there's people, you can send a prompt now, there's software, some apps, you send a prompt to 5 LLMs at once, and then it will check which is the best one, and it will do that for your thing. But I think the differentiation would become, as I mentioned, prompt engineering. So the people asking the questions, even today, if we ask this room to Google something, so forget about an LLM, even regular Google, all of us would end up with different results. Like you can say, find the best restaurant close to us here, and all of us will not come to the same result because we are asking the question differently. So I think the human element will continue because the way we are going to interact with the AI will make the difference.
So I have a question, Peter. In this room, there are many guests today who would like to understand how do they get started, right, with their automation journey. So there are groups who have already started the automation journey, who understood how to scale it up. There are mature customers. There are customers who are just sitting in the fence, taking the first big leap.
Sure.
So what are the first things that they need to consider or opportunities to get on board with automation, AI, and things like that?
Yeah. Some of the things I would start with are definitely decide what you're trying to achieve. Is it just about looking for the biggest labor savings or the biggest customer experience change? Is there a specific problem you're looking at, fraud or whatever else? Identify that North Star and build your plan around it. And then the next thing would be look at your data. Getting that data AI ready could be a bigger task than you thought. And even for a pretty small implementation, going incrementally makes a lot of sense. But the data has to be clean before you can even do that first pilot. So that's the hurdle to getting started. One thing I thought was interesting about prompt engineering and getting that right, I heard from some of the developers they were testing different ways of making the same prompt. And they tried being polite. That didn't help at all. But if they offered a large cash bribe to the engine, it would give them a better result. It would spend more time thinking. Never had to actually pay it, but it showed that emphasis. Yes?
This is less a question and more just a thought, but in VJ's comments, he mentioned how internet in 1995 is like AI in 2024.
Yes.
So if we were to look back at the lessons of history, like were there people in a room today, like we are, talking about like what is our internet strategy? Especially, let's say, non-technology companies who know the internet exists and want to know how internet is going to impact their business. What were they talking about? What was their internet strategy in 1995, and how could we use whatever their strategies were, whether they were effective or otherwise, to learn how we should inform ourselves of how to shift our own AI strategies? Like, if we're to say that's a valid comparison,
definitely some
then like what were their strategies?
Yeah.
And were they just like total like bullshit if you were to look back?
There were people early on. I think it was someone at IBM decided the worldwide market for computers was about 20 machines, and just didn't believe in the home PC. And now we've got pocket PCs that are beyond whatever they could dream of. So be on the right side of history and embrace this early is definitely key advice. The other key, I think the limit to adoption is going to be the human factor. How fast can people adjust and keep up, and having the right people. This is going to disrupt how a lot of jobs are done. And the people that embrace that journey and can learn quickly are going to be incredibly valuable and in short supply. That may be more important to a lot of the success than the deep technical skills in some ways. And that's a tough thing to test for in an interview. But finding people who are willing to do that and then rewarding people when they do. If someone disrupts their own job, automates what they're doing, promote them. tell them to go do it 5 more times. Make it very visible that that gets rewarded and it's not a personal risk to figure out how to disrupt yourself and move forward.
Thank you.
Excellent. This was quite a session, and if you would like to connect with Peter and discuss about how to start your automation journey on AutoScale, please do. It's available the whole day with us. Thank you so much.
Excellent, thanks.
So we move on to our next session, and I'm really excited about this. Our next speaker is Will Kwan, Vice President of Canada for Automation Anywhere, world's leading automation and AI technology company. A bit about Will. Will is a customer-focused and insatiably curious executive leader with over 20 years of experience in cloud platforms, driven to deliver mutual results, success by helping customers leverage intelligent automation, RPA 2.0, powered by Gen AI, next-gen platforms to remove frictions from business and process and drive growth. He leads a high-performing team in Canada and dedicated to deliver intelligent automation. I will now like to invite Will on stage and inspire us on how to automate the gap from prompt to action, followed by a fireside chat with First Capital Realty executives, Simon Streeter and Bradley, who have been an Automation Anywhere and Tangentia customers in 2020, sharing the success mantra. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Arjun. I really like that introduction. It sounds like my LinkedIn introduction, which somebody like myself wrote. But, thank you for that. I'll kick off with a quick gauge. It's a joke. How do you clean up a Gen AI mistake with a rag? Okay. A couple of folks are in the read here. Again, that was a little bit of a litmus test for me. I'm excited to be here, folks. We are, just a quick show of hands, how many folks are familiar with Automation Anywhere? Awesome, awesome. I make this joke that we are Automation Anywhere, but here in Canada, not a lot of folks know us, so we're like, we're Automation Nowhere sometimes. But we are everywhere, you just don't see us. You'll see in a moment. So again, thank you, VJ, thank you, the Tangentia team for inviting me here. I'm going to walk us through a few key things, and by the way, I love this place. Every time I come to Angus Glen, I think about new beginnings, because once upon a time, a younger version of myself got married right out there, so my beginning of my family started right out there for me, so it's very sentimental for me to be here. Business problems are a function of, and you'll see a thematically here, 3 things. People, we've heard a little bit about today. We've heard a couple speakers talk about how hard it is to find people. Processes are always a challenge, whether they're discrete, whether they're broad, and of course technology, aka the Holy Trinity up there. It's hard to find skilled people today, right? Here in Canada, we're talking about rate cuts coming up in fall. That's a function of the fact that we can't keep stimulating our economy by just throwing people at it. We gotta find productivity gains, we gotta find efficiencies. I believe we can help solve that. Processes are disconnected by people, disconnected by systems. They're inherently wrong at times too. We have to apply a first principles mindset to redefine what processes look like today. Finally, technology. Where do you start? That was one of the questions that we asked Peter. Where do you start? At a tech conference, that was probably the one question I was at just 2 days ago. We're asking, it's costly if done wrong, and it just creates more of them. We just get into this cycle of repeating again. This is where we thrive. This is where Automation Anywhere thrives. We love this. This is why I'm at this particular company, leading this team. We help drive people, process, technology. We augment skills, we democratize knowledge, and we scale people. That's what we do. That's our technology platform at the end of the day. Our platform streamlines these processes and connects the systems and the people. In technology, we've been doing this for over 20 plus years, improving customer success, and we've been recognized as a leader for the ability and scale. And this I believe is a cycle of innovation here. So one of my asks will be, how do we work with all the folks in this room to help drive this. This is what I'm passionate about. Pop quiz, again, overheard in tech. What does LLM stand for? Anybody? Large language model? The running joke was, no, lose lots of money, right? People have been throwing money at LLMs thinking that they are the answer. And I think we all know it. They're fun. You can see a lot of information there, but at the end of the day, you're getting text and a next best action out. But that word action, that's the piece that's missing. That's the piece where we thrive at automation anyway. We're seeing the pressure against all executives trying to figure out how do you use AI? How do we put it in the hands of our people, our employees, in our organization as an enterprise, as an autonomous enterprise? Executives worry about following, just you're under the gun to say, spend the money, but do something produce productivity out of it. I need to see some tangible results. That's what we're starting to see and hear a lot of today. I think a lot of folks are doing that. Now, do you run to one of the, as of I think May of this year, one of the 5,618 startups that have come up and popped up for automation or for AI specifically? Do you go to a line of business vendor and use their specific siloed automation / AI? I don't know if these are the right ways for us to go after it. There's inherently risk in this as well. So whether we're going at one point solution at a time, you're opening yourself to a little bit of risk there. If you go one line of business vendor at a time, are you siloed still? Really not looking at your organization as a true enterprise? Or is it even one person at a time? There's value in all of these things, but the question is, are you doing it at scale across the organization? This is where we believe we can help. I think I saw Peter, you had 200 billion going in. Yeah, we're going to adjust that to Canadian dollars and take that to $4 trillion of opportunity. Okay. But there's a lot of money going after it, right? These are some of the organizations we work with today, just here in Canada and across the world, just a small smattering of the 5,000 plus customers that we work with. A lot of them started their journey with us many years ago, started very simply in one traditional, I'll call it RPA, right? It's a term that I love, it's a term that I hate, because people think about just bots and scraping, right? That's taking us back to the AOL days. We're not there today. We're much further ahead. That's the first generation, but we're at the precipice. We're at this new beginning. We're at the third generation now where we can automate much more of enterprise processes because we're being able to take advantage of the underlying value of an LLM, of the models, and all this wave of innovation is happening. But you've got to pair it with the things that you already have investments in because you can't just wipe the board clean and start new. You got to actually take advantage of what you have, your investments in it. So this is where we come in. We believe it's AI plus automation that's going to drive the system for the enterprise, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. Now, in June, we had our conference called Imagine. It was down in Austin. It'll probably be somewhere fun again coming up. But we focused on this middle tier, this AI system. And what we're doing here is we opened up what's called an AI Agent Studio, the ability for you to build AI agents in a horizontal function. So you can reuse that function across your business, or you can build it discretely as well. You've got AI Automator. What is that? That's where we start to see content creation. Content creation specifically on writing the processes, where you're using natural language to say, what's the best way for me to create an invoicing process for insert SAP Workday? We've got metadata across all of our customers that we've pulled into, and you'll see it's a little bit of part of our secret sauce on how to actually do that to help speed up the time of innovation. Document automation, I'm sure we all have done that, classic OCR, but how'd you do that, Pass? You gave it thousands of examples to try to learn from. We don't do that anymore. It's not about training it, it's about tuning it down. So we'll ask for 5 key examples and leverage the underlying model to help produce better results of accuracy and straight-through processing. And then this last piece here, GenAI process models. And I think there was a question that was asked, hey, results kind of look similar across the board, right? And it kind of comes back to my joke earlier. What is a RAG? For those who don't know what that is, it stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, fancy term for your company's data, your company's secret sauce. Feed it your contextual data so that it sits on top of the LLM. You'll see that. And we pair that with all the things that we've traditionally been excellent in. Again, the bots, APIs for modern systems. We've got a way to manage your pipeline as well. All right, so a quick example to illustrate the difference between what was before and what is now. Does anyone in here drive a Tesla by any chance? Anybody? A couple folks? Okay. Did you guys take a loan on that Tesla and submit your loan online? No. I actually did. I bought my car during the pandemic, and after Toyota laughed at me, I went and bought a Tesla instead, because they told me it would take a year for my car to show up. But I was filling in the form and submitting just the loan application, and I was amazed that the loan application came back to me the same day. That's an illustration of first to the customer wins, and I'll explain how this works. So this is a customer, this is a financial stream that we do, or sort of work with in the US. Previous loan application took 6 hours, and it was arduous work because you had people doing document verification, compliance, and processing. We made that autonomous. We turned those autonomous bots and took the process down from 6 hours to 45 minutes, and there still is a physical human approver at the end of that process. We did that by understanding their data sets and then applying an LLM beneath it. And this is what allows them to get to that customer faster, because Tesla's pushing out that loan requirement to probably 5 or 6 vendors. As the first one that shows up that wins. There's a bottom line impact here of using AI and automation. Just one example, and there's plenty more. Now, what do we do? And I've spoken a little bit about this. Our AI skills, we base that and give you the flexibility to use any model you want. We allow you to bring in your enterprise data. We've done a little bit of a mild experiment today with some of the folks that have come here today. We kind of took a look to see who showed up and threw some of your public data into off your public website into our engine just to be able to query and ask the questions, right? And then we're allowing you to then take it again and apply to our systems on the action side. So, example is find the next best product, but actually we'll run an inventory check to do it and take that action step. And again, other agents would be around tax, loan, invoice, pricing. We've been actually quite busy over the last 18 months working with our best customers to prove out these use cases. And ultimately, the middle piece we cannot ignore, security and governance, is a big focus area, and we've got components and tools within our platform to have control, access to, I'll call it this new skill set. Now the key thing from this slide here is its accuracy at the end of the day, right? An LLM on its own, we're only seeing about roughly 40% accuracy. An LLM with that RAG over top, we're seeing 90% accuracy. And in our Gen AI process model, our model actually understands and says, how do you actually go build a process fast, right? That's our secret sauce. And again, that's the secret sauce that we bring to the table because we've been doing it for 20 plus years. How many folks are in here using Copilot today? Okay, a lot. Good. You should, because Microsoft's giving it to you for free. You should use that. It's not bad, right? And the commercial you saw during the Olympics on that, what was it showing? It was showing personal productivity gain, right? Which is great. But we want enterprise productivity gain. 15% time saved doing these things on the side, perfect, text in, text out. We want it to be tied to the back-end systems as well. That's where you get scale. That's where you start to see some of the results that people are demanding today. This is what we're doing over here. We'll work with the Copilot. We love it, but we want to extend it to the back end as well. So, do you do that in the individual systems? Again, you don't want to do it just in the individual systems. You really want to do it across your entire enterprise. So, you've got assisted, you've got autonomous, really tying those two pieces together. And I know these slides are somewhat vague, so we're happy to show you these in more detail. But for the purposes of today and the limited time we've got, I want to just give you conceptually what we've been doing. So we believe fundamentally that we drive 3x faster time with our AI agents. It really can help drive, again, material impact 10x on the actual outcomes. That's where I'm focused on. That scan is not super high tech, but if you do scan it, that will take you to my LinkedIn, and you'll see that amazing intro that Abhijit said. But feel free to pay me there. My ask of this room is, if you want to sit down and connect, talk to my team, talk to our experts, I'm happy to bring them to the table. I want that, right? I'm born and raised here. I want to see your Canadian customers thrive. I'm seeing this happen with my peers in the US, in EMEA, in LATAM, and frankly, I'm also very jealous of their success. I want to tell a better story up here because we're doing that with a lot of our customers today. We should be doing it more. So it comes back to people, process, technology. Again, my team and partners are ready. We're willing to work and kick off a workshop with you guys. No questions asked. I love getting on a whiteboard. I think one of my guys was giving me gears because he's like, who carries a whiteboard marker in their bag? I do. I love it. And technology will help show how to bridge the gaps that you may be experiencing today, right? Both simple and complex. So if you come to me and say, well, listen, Gen AI, bots, too complex for me, but I've got these things over here. Let's start there. We all got to start to learn to crawl a bit before we run. But if you're already sprinting, we'll catch up to you guys as well. I've got my good friend, Mr. Papadopoulos here, Elias. My wife's an engineer, so she made me do this. Elias is an actual engineer, so a lot of solution engineers are not real ones, but Elias is. So we're gonna have Elias actually show us a couple things, just to give some more illustrative about how we use our products. So I'll pass this over.
I'm kind of worried that we're gonna get feedback here, so I'll come up here and I'll talk a little bit, and I'll run back and forth. But basically what we're gonna show today is what Will was referring to, is how do you build this RAG model? And when I show you how we do it, it's extremely simplified, right? Like generally a lot of people need data scientists, they invest a lot of time and effort into this, and I'm gonna show you how we can very easily streamline that for organizations and then tie it into a full workflow. So I'm gonna be right back. All right. So what I have over here is our AI agent studio. And this is where we're going to be able to go in and actually create AI agents. In here, you can pick the LLM of your choice. If you have your own custom LLMs, you can leverage it. If you, if you want to use ChatGPT or Amazon Bedrock or Claude, you can select it from in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to point it to, you can point it to your own local repository on premise. You don't have to share it with the LLM. But the agent is going to respond in context to the data that you've given it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick on the bank over here, and we're going to click on you guys. And if we don't get around to everybody today, you can see me after, and we can do this here. So what I've done here is we've created a new chat. And if I come in here, we've indexed the organization's website. So it went through, it crawled the website, built up the model based off.
We did this morning, by the way. Just popped it in, right?
Just popped it in, threw it in. So as we can see here, we've had the website. We can point it to a local repository within your organization. Again, no data is actually shared outside. And so when we're configuring this, again, just to really show it quickly, you can build an agent and you can build it with, right now it's the default persona. You can create a custom agent, say, hey, you're a digital bank employee, you're focused on customer service, you're trying to drive these specific things. So we're gonna come here and we're gonna do a chat. And my chat right now is gonna be really simple. Hey, I have a bank account in Korea and I wanna open up a Canadian account. How do I do that? And so now it's gonna go out and say, okay, based on the context and the information that I have, what is the proper answer to this? And it's gonna come back and give me a list of what I need to do. And what's gonna happen as well is, as you can see here, hey, you know what? Let me scroll up here. Here's what you need to do. And it's saying, hey, visit a bank branch. You need your passport. You need some kind of documentation, and so on. And you need to follow the application process. And I have my sources here. So it's going to point me to exactly on the website where we grab them. Now, if you point to an internal database, right, or an internal repository, it's going to point to that and say, hey, here's where I actually got that information from. And this is the first part. So this is where we build in our workflow, and I'll show it in the next step, how you can create AI agents and tie it into that action model after. So wouldn't it be great if I'm like, okay, now, next, let me start that process for you. Let me send you the loan application form. Why don't you send me the ID? I'll grab the data from your ID and actually create the bank account for you, right? And this is how we're able to really streamline it. This literally took 2 seconds. You just pointed to the repository, you use the LLM that you want, and you have your AI agent. So we're streamlining that process. There's no need for data scientists at this point, right? Any questions so far? Right. Please feel free to stop me. So, what I'm going to do here, and this is kind of the flow of the demo that we're going to have here. This is from an IT perspective. So we have support cases coming in. We've created an AI agent that is going to help us handle IT tickets. And so we're working within ServiceNow. We're leveraging our Copilot, which is directly embedded into ServiceNow, and as a result, helps streamline the process. So as we continue on here, we are going to have emails coming in from the inbox, and the automation is going to read those emails. We're going to pass it to the AI agent. The AI agent is going to take a first crack at this, and then the workflow is going to continue. So as this continues on, right here we see an inbox. We have 5 emails that have come into IT. The automation is going to go through, read those emails. It's going to go to the AI agent, and what we're going to see after the fact is the AI agent is actually going to resolve 2 of the 5 automatically by itself, and then it's going to tag the other 3 tickets to be reviewed by a human, and we're going to leverage a human in the loop. So we can see it here. This has been closed out. This was a password reset problem that was automatically handled by the AI agent. Oh, sorry, muted. Thank you. Right, and so we can see the email was actually automatically sent out to the employee around, hey, here are the steps, and we've resolved this. Now, what we're going to see after the fact here is we're going to go back into the ServiceNow interface, and we'll see how that digital assistant technology is going to be actually embedded. So we see there's 3 tickets here, and over here is our digital assistant technology, and it's saying, hey, here are 3 tasks I need help with. And here is the forms that we've created within our Copilot. And we can say, hey, you know what? Here is the request from the employee. And hey, what are we going to do next? We're going to leverage the AI agent to help provide recommendations to resolve this. So we're going to type in the prompt, hey, how do I resolve this? And it's going to go back to the LLM, and it's going to say, based on the data that we have internally on how to resolve tickets about KB articles, this is what needs to be done. And this is how we streamline the process. And we see it across the board, whether it's loan applications, whether it's IT, onboarding employees, accounts payable, accounts receivable, whatever the case may be, there are 1,000,001 different use cases where we can leverage AI agents to help streamline and quickly resolve any kind of issue, right? We see it even within the federal space. We have federal clients that are leveraging our platform to be able to streamline and help citizens, right? So with that, I'll pause. Any questions?
Is that a combination between RBA and automation anywhere?
That's correct.
Well, that's all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question here.
Go ahead, yes.
So what's your suggestion on approach that we need to take in order to incorporate the GenAI layer to the existing use cases, right? Like, how do we should we really incorporate GenAI layer to something that is already existing in production?
Yep.
Or what's your approach?
Yeah, you could take multiple approaches, right? You could focus on net new use cases or augment your current use cases. What's really nice, any work that you've done within our platform, we now have the process composer where you can pass things to the AI agent and then invoke bot flows, right? So you can very easily add the AI component into your workflow. So if you've already done this.
Mark. Hey, Les. So what's the, especially if you're working with governance, what sort of people will show that?
Yeah, so specifically when we look at the federal space, there's all kinds of governance and rules that they have. So they have, I forget specifically what it's called, but they have rules around AI, and specifically they need to track what model was used, what decisions were used, and they need to keep track of that. So And even then, they have their own Azure Golf Cloud that they can leverage, and they also have their own LLMs, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff tied into it. Our platform helps support that in the sense we actually have audit logs from the AI perspective that they can keep track of from an AI governance perspective, as well as developing their own custom logs that are then sent over to security.
Elias, great presentation. If I wanted to have my brand kind of up there and show that, is that something that you'd be able to do for me?
100%. So you can sit down with us. Again, like we just index some of the websites. You know, we have 407. We have a lot of the other clients here as well. We can sit down and very quickly show you how easy it is to create these AI agents. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Les. I'm always conflicted that we help the CRA get more efficient here, but they are a big customer of ours, along with many other federal agencies. I think for the next portion of this, I'm actually going to invite our good friends from FCR to the stage. So that's Simon Streeter, VP and CIO, Brad Eddy, Director of Data and Automation. Yep. You guys hear me okay if I just use my inside voice? I love FCR. You guys probably know their properties. I feel like every time I see a longboat, it's like an FCR property, right? And every time I see a Canadian Tire, I feel like it's an FCR property. And I always know I'm an FCR property because I think I mentioned I drive a Tesla and you guys let me charge my car up. So, on that note, I'm going to charge this up today. I'll ask a couple quick questions. You guys have been using Automation Anywhere, you're partners with Tangentia. Maybe kick us off on how you started the program, why you saw the need of it. And then, by the way, this will be a little bit of a group exercise as well towards the end. Like, we'll get some feedback, but if you want to speak to that first part.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it all started, it was actually before my time. Our former CIO, his name was Ian, during pandemic, there was many of the, quick step back, First Capital real estate owner operator, he's been to our plazas all over Canada, Greater Toronto area especially. During pandemic, many of our smaller customers or smaller tenants were struggling, like many people did. And of course, there was some government programs to help them succeed, help them get through that challenging time. And as part of those programs, there of course was just piles of paperwork to fill out, submit to the government so they could participate in those programs. We got Automation Anywhere to help us through that journey, and we built a handful of bots to help ourselves and our customers gather that information, file the necessary forms with the government so that they could begin receiving their rent relief, and we could continue receiving our rent, help our business succeed, help their business succeed. And without that technology, I don't know how they ever would have filled out the dozens of forms across 3,000, 4,000 tenants across the country, many of whom had differing levels of technical aptitude. Who knows what customer number they are, who knows what lease code they are, who knows this, who knows that. We knew that data, they did not, and together we were able to help ourselves succeed and help them succeed. Couldn't have done it without the Automation Anywhere technology.
So, as the democratizing skill set, again, increasing time to purchase value and time to be branch.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too, that really helped to improve to the business leaders the value of automation. So going back, that's really step one for anyone who needs to start, is you need to get your business leaders on board and confirm that automation or digital transformation is a worthwhile exercise and something that you want to do. Hopefully everybody's already there. Some people may not be. If you want, we can chat about that one-on-one about how to get to that point. Then the next step, obviously, is to choose a platform, right? We went through an RFP as well. We went to, we put the Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, UiPath, 5 years ago, and quickly UI became a two-horse race between UiPath and Automation Anywhere. You could argue 5 years ago
They don't have anyone here in Canada, so just saying.
Yeah, well, there was a few reasons we went with you guys, and we're glad we did, because you've proven to be the right choice for us for sure. The other thing I would say is then forming a proper team.
You need to have a lead within the technology organization that's going to own the platform. And that lead also needs to be able to work with the business and get use cases, get buy-in, get a backlog of ideas and use cases for automation. And I would suggest too that you do need a developer of your own on staff as well. Now that business lead could be part of somebody else's job that you already have. We got this fella, so that was a good move for us. And that really, and then obviously the other part of it was to find a good partner to help partner with you in doing the builds. And that's where we landed with Tangentia to help us do the heavy lifting on the builds. So getting that team in place was really core as well to the success. And I'll just add to that, the way that we started, you get the proof of concepts, the low-hanging fruit. These terms are overused, but it is how you start, I believe, in this type of approach. And even further to that, we started with our own backyard. We looked at technology and IT, and that way we could try it out on our own processes. If we have bumps along the way, it's us. We could figure it out, and it was really beneficial for us to understand the platform, what it can do, what maybe it couldn't do at the time, and then it gears you up to then go out to the business and really start to work on some of their processes. So I'll just start with that. That's kind of the approach that we took to get it off the ground.
Excellent. And again, the offer is out to anyone out there. You want to have a partner to help you find those initial success use cases where we can get in and do demonstrable value quickly. We're here for that. We're ready to do that. Going forward, what's your vision on kind of hearing what we've heard today? Where do you see FCR being lean into automation or AI or just this new wave of technology? What's your vision on that?
Yeah, so traditionally, with the RPA and the automations and where you all started, it was those repetitive tasks, and that was replacing what a human could do almost mindlessly, right, with a bot. And that really helped sell it initially. So you could say, well, a bot can do the same thing a human can do on these systems. It can do it faster. It can do it 7,500 hours a year rather than 2,500. Right? It can work 24/7, and it's less costly than a human. So the initial case is pretty clear. But interestingly enough, now the business is coming back and saying, I don't see anything on my bottom line here that's changing. What's going on? It's like, well, yeah, you're saving 10 hours here, 10 hours here, 10 hours here, 10 hours here. So the shift is really trying to go to something more tangible, which has been brought up here before, to really see tangible benefits. And it's part of that could be sometimes tough conversations, depending on what your business is in, the state of your business. If your business is growing, then you're able to do more with the current set of labor and all that. Otherwise, what you're trying to do is you're trying to look more holistically, enterprise. And you brought that up too, Will, about trying to look at a set of processes more holistically, and rather than just try to automate little bits of it here, say, how can we even rethink this processes or these set of processes? Now we know that these tools are in place. And with generative AI, it's no longer just mindless tasks that you can do. You can start to now have the bots expand and think a little bit more, especially with generative AI as well, with communications. There's lots of communications that we have with our commercial real estate tenants. That's really back and forth emails now. A lot for somebody to manage that process now could potentially start to use generative AI to handle those communications back and forth with tenants. Documents is a huge part of our organization, commercial real estate in general. Our business runs on lease contracts, and they could be photocopied in PDF like this, So that's a really big unstructured data is a really core part of our process, and I think generative AI can help in understanding that unstructured data and working with that a bit more.
Yeah, and just echo that. I don't know about anyone else's business, but we got PDFs flying around everywhere, and Automation Anywhere's document automation technology combined with the LLM has allowed us to explore some very interesting use cases. That is content summarization, that is taking 3,000 different formats of remittance information we receive every month and plucking out a few key fields of that, putting it into our ERP system. These are tasks that someone had to scroll through emails like month after month after month. And we've seen some great success achieving 70–80% straight-through processing on these use cases that probably weren't even imagined 5 years ago as being possible. Just like a little commentary on AI. I heard someone say this a few years ago, and it's something like, well, what is AI? It is maybe things that computers can't do, or things that a person would ordinarily do. And that is something that we can achieve today using technologies like Automation Anywhere, with partners like Tangentia helping us put it all together and use computers to do things that computers can't do. It's been very fun. It's been very interesting with these great partners we have.
I think that goes back to VJ's note, right? Making AI human. Right? We still have to keep us involved. On that note, I'll say thank you guys for coming up here. I appreciate you sharing your story. I'll pass this back to our friends here at Tangentia. And I was going to ask for some participation, but if anyone's got a really cool idea that they want to talk about, by myself or anyone part of my team, if anyone's working on a Gen AI golf swing thing, just come talk to me too, because I need that. Pass it back to you.
Thank you, Will. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Oh, this is great. I mean, the whole purpose for today's Tech Summit was not theoretical, but actually interactive, real-life success stories. The how and not the what was the main focus, and I think we have been fairly able to achieve that. Therefore, with all the real-life success stories, the next segment, as well as a lot of real-life cases that we have been able to provide business value and impact with across small and medium businesses and enterprise customers. We now take a short 10 minutes break and we'll be back in the next segment showcasing success stories that have made real business impact for both large and small businesses in the digital transformation initiative that will definitely excite you. Okay, so let's be back in the next 10 minutes and we'll be happy. Thank you so much.
I wanted you to take the camera and move around, just to show. This is a live stream.
your attention please, I would like you to please settle down. We are about to begin our next segment. If I can have everybody's attention please. I request everyone to take your seats as we are about to begin our next segment with real life success stories for. Thank you. Welcome back and please settle down. In this segment, we would see a few success stories to help you visualize the art of possible for driving your business transformation initiative successfully. We will also see insightful presentation on how AI has insight, supply chain efficiencies, and art of powering smarter, sustainable strategies for your organization. I would now like to call upon Prashant Chaudhary, Tangentia's very own tech lead and solution engineer, on stage, along with Tejaswini, who is the quality manager at Surti Foods, a leading ethnic food production company, who have digitizing and taking paper out of paperwork with low-code, no-code applications to achieve business efficiency. Over to you, Prashant and Tejaswini, and thanks for coming and presenting the success story today. Thank you so much.
Hello. Very good. So, good morning, everyone. And yeah, I think that was a lot of knowledge that you got in the previous session. So, we'll just tell you maybe some of our success stories, like how and what we did with some of our customers and how happy they are. Like one of our, some of the customers are already there sitting, but I have some with me on the podium as well. So, to get started, my name is Prashant Chaudhary, and as it said, I am a solution architect at Tangentia, and with me is.
I'm Tejaswini from Surti.
So, with me is Tejaswini, she's from the quality department of Surti Foods. Now, basically, as the title says, taking paper out of paperwork, how exactly that works, we will going to show you. What was the transformation journey of Surti? How Surti was able to, with the help of Tangentia, able to improvise on their efforts and how they got the efficiencies better. So all these things we'll be seeing. Moving ahead. Okay. So before diving into the transformation journey, let's understand who Surti is, right? Surti has been in this food production industry for over 70 years, and they have around, say, more than 400 unique products which address to a lot of tastes, and across the globe they serve their food produce. Apart of that, they have around 200 plus skilled laborers, you can say employees who work across all the organization to basically get entire efficiency high. This is about Surti. Now, some of the operational challenges which Surti had, right? So even though Surti is like so big and it has a big legacy, it had some operational challenges. First and foremost was they were too much dependent on paper. So when I say too much dependent on paper, what they were doing? Since they are kind of production industry, in case say they want to basically check if the order what they have placed to vendor is received at the warehouse or not, they had to print that PO, take it to the warehouse, and then manually enter the details on that PO, and then in the end of the day, these details were again fed into the system. So there was a lot of delay and too much dependency on paper. This is just for the operations. But respect for the reporting as well, like what all has been produced, what is the QC done on all these things. All these things were again noted on paper. And during the time of audit, it was a problem. There was a pile of, you can say, papers which they had to look at. So the problem was again dependability on paper. And because they were dependent on paper, there was a delay. Now, as I gave the example of the procurement to production, how basically the delay was there when material was received and how it was used, it was like a delay of 2-3 days. That was one of the things. And because the data was not centralized, it was not online, they couldn't basically place orders for the future. They could not forecast that well. So all these problems were there. And I think, yes, they were not able to basically use their employees efficiently because, it is like they had to time and forecast their employees properly so that they get a good efficiency out of them. So these were all of the challenges. Yeah, so how did we help them? How Tangentia helped them? So it was like last year, around November, I guess, when we first visited Surti, and it's when we understood the problems, and they were like, I bet it is very difficult for you guys to help us because they themselves were like a big team and they were having a lot of challenges. I think they just don't even agree to that, right? So, how did we help them? We helped them with our Power Platform tech stack. So, for the paper, okay, now because I said people used to print the paper and take it, we gave them apps. We gave apps in the hand of all the people on the floor. Now they were able to do all their operations and the data was real time. In the further slides, I'll show how the data was actually real time and how it was centralized as well. This was regarding the paper part. Now, I think in the previous slide I addressed it, but there were manual activities, as in the team, like security department, they had to follow up with the vendors to send some of the items or some of the documents regarding the products, which they were not able to send in time. That is why the products were not being used. So they had to manually follow up with them. And this was one of the manual activity. A part of them, they used to manually enter the details on those documents. So all these things, basically how we took care is by creating kind of backend bots, and these bots were basically doing all the operations in the backend, like following up and creating schedules, tasks, all those things, right? That was one part of it. And centralized data. Now, they have ERP, which was Microsoft Dynamics 365, but I think they couldn't give access to Microsoft Dynamics 365 to all the users. So we had to have a medium which could basically give access to this ERP as well as maintain the data centralized. So we used the data was over here of Microsoft Tech Stack, wherein all the data, the metadata from the ERP and the data which the people are operating with, all this was sitting together, and that data we were using in the apps, and also the flows were using this data. So this is how we use the data was over here. And last but not the least, as I said, during the audit or to make the decisions, the business-centric decisions, this data was prepared, or you can say represented using Power BI dashboards. And then we also gave them other ad hoc dashboards which they could use for their audit purposes. But then these were the technology stack or the solutions that we provided. Now, okay, so I was talking about the architecture, right? So you might be seeing all those things. Maybe you have used a few of them. Like daily use Outlook and Teams is definitely something that you might have used. Let me just go step by step how we did the implementation. Okay, our first step was how to expose the data of Business Central. Now, since Business Central is their ERP, we basically created. There are APIs available already in that, but we had to create some custom APIs as well, and we hosted on Business Central servers. Now, to expose them in a secure way, we used Azure's help. And Azure application, we were able to expose the data of ERP in a secure manner. Now that was the first step. Second step, what we did is we basically designed the database, how the data would be there, how it will be used by the apps, how it will be used by the flows, how the data will be used by the Power BI dashboard. So depending on all of these, we basically created the data structure of the database. Now the next step was basically creating a front end, right? We used Power Apps. Now Power Apps was the front end that we used for this, and we can say right from the procurement, you can say entering the PO into the system, creating the SO, getting the raw material in the system, creating production, okay, giving production orders with the help of which all their material was created. with that, we were also helping them in packaging. And in the end, we were helping them in picking as well. So we created 5 different apps for them in 5 modules, and they are running, I think, across their entire company at this point of time. So this was the place wherein we use Power Apps. And Power Automate, I would say it is a kind of a nervous system of this entire solution. It used to take all the data from across all the tools and get it done. Now, Teams and Outlook, what we use it for, Teams, basically, there was a scenario wherein they wanted some approvals from higher-ups, okay? Now, this is where we can get human in the loop kind of feature. So, and you don't need some other technology, with whatever Teams or whatever tools you guys are using, on those tools itself, you will get the approvals. And we were using that, and specifically that was in case we want to delete some production orders, that because at times there is an issue or we overproduce, those kind of things. So that is why we had used the approvals. And yeah, Outlook for just the follow-ups, email alerts which clients require, and you can see end of the reports or monthly reports, all those we have automated. So this was kind of the end-to-end structure, architecture of the Surti solution that we provided. Yeah, and I think a small demo of the app. This is just one app.
And this is what we talked about, wrap ERP. So we built a wrapper around ERP system in this particular case, so just so that you guys understand the context.
Need the audio, okay? Okay, maybe I'll walk through that. Start from the beginning if it's possible. Yeah, so this was the supply chain management app, the first app that I've talked about. Like when the raw material is received at the warehouse, what exactly used to happen? They used to print the POs, right? Now they don't print it. Now the app basically has the PO and it grabs the PO from Business Central and then presents it in the app. And the app itself, they can amend the PO and in the end they can save it as well in case there is an amendment. So this was the part. So these are all the modules that we created, and it was user specific. So we maintained the authentications as well over here. So this was the screen, and this is the direct feed that is coming from Business Central. So yeah, this is what I would say. In case this screen was not there, then we would require to give users to access to this screen. That is the Business Central screen. But rather we gave them access to the Power Apps, which was like a secured or controlled way of giving access to them and also operating with the system. So here if you can see someone at the warehouse might be looking at the PO and entering the details of what has been received, setting those parameters, updating them, and in real-time updates in Business Central as well. Yeah, so this is more granular details that one can update. And this is, I think you can the brink of you can see the ice, tip of the iceberg, but there were like a lot more complex things that we did over there. So yeah, this once it's submitted, it was getting posted into Business Central. So yeah, this is just showing how exactly it is updated in Business Central. It's a 2-minute video, but I think you might have got right what exactly I'm trying to show. Yeah, again, I think we can go to the next slide if it's. Yes. Now, the key benefits of this solution. What exactly did Surti achieve? And maybe you can second that. The inventory was real time. As soon as the products were received, they were into the system for them to produce. The raw materials were received, they were able to use. We used to assign the lots and directly they were being used by the production team to create. Once the production is done, they were available for the packaging team to package it. Once the packaging is done, automatically they were available for the picking team to basically pack the POs which they had received. So that was, you can say, the real-time data, elimination of paper. There is no paper at all. When I went in November over there last year, they had like a room full of papers, and you can ask.
That's true. Actually, I personally handle the audit work, and we'll have like 12 boxes of papers throughout the month and the whole year, and now it's no paper at all. It's been 6 months we have been using the paper app, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, so that was one, right? Paper was one of the thing. Automated alerts. Again, the QC part, they had to follow up with like lot of them, and for many follow-ups. But now she can spend her time. She can go home early. You can say.
That's like overtime. I could now app itself is doing all the requests from these vendors, and I don't have to do anything because it's doing automatically, and it has the reminder option. It reminds some vendors to send the documents on time.
Yeah, so thanks. Yes. And this is optimization.
And I have to say, I have to appreciate the teamwork from Tangentia. They are very quick, responsive, and they're very helpful resolving issues.
Yeah, maybe this is 2 more minutes are late. This is optimization. So before, what used to happen is, as I said, on the shop floor, they don't have total control of who is working on what. Now with the app, for every production order, we have made it such that people, like say 5 people are there, they will be assigned this production order until it is over. And whenever it is closed, only that particular time will be the time which would be billed, and they would be paid for that. So there is very, very minute control on the shop floor on how the employees are using their time. So that was the employees' efficiency thing. And you can say the quality control. So one issue what was there was, in her team itself, there were new trainees, or you can say new people who joined, but every company has their QC to be done differently. And there was a time gap between, there was a ramp time or training time that was required for one person to know what Surti standards are. But with the app, what we did is we have put the features or the rules in the app itself for every product that is to be QC'd. So one does not need to know that for this product, these particular tests are to be done. Automatically, the app will tell that, okay, for this product, metal detector test to be done, the sodium test to be done, everything, and what are the minimum or maximum levels that the product needs to have. So actually, you can say one does not require like very high skilled brains to run, do a QC, and then she does the final authorization. So that's where the approval parts come into picture. So yeah, that was all about it, and those are the key benefits. So yeah, thank you. And any questions for us? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prashant, and thank you, Tejaswini. I mean, it's inspiring how we can actually get rid of ton-loads of paper with applications, right? And that's the beauty of technology now. Moving on, our next session is dedicated to the most ambitious supply chain transformation initiative announced by the province of Ontario, which was delivered by Tangentia for LCBO. I hope you all are excited to hear about this from our very own Vijay Thomas and Karen Brianis, presenting you to the LCBO story, bringing beer to convenience store by Vijay Thomas and Karen.
Okay, so Karen is the person this is the story that puts a smile on everybody's faces. Okay, so I use this even if it is not directly an automation story, but this is something that we've been doing for in 2015. The then Premier Kathleen Wynne announced there'll be beer in grocery stores for Christmas. Right? I think it was a political statement, but she made that announcement in November. So if you make an announcement in November and you had to have grocery stores at Christmas, the runway was only 6 weeks. Okay, so in 6 weeks, they went to all the usual suspects. They went to Accenture, Capgemini, Ernst & Young, IBM, everybody, and everybody said, "What are you guys smoking? I mean, this cannot get done in 6 months or even a year." Okay, so there was only one company. We were doing some small project. They asked me, "Have you heard about this?" And we said, "Yes, we can do this." And the reason we said we can do this is because we had bits and pieces of this whole solution, and we've done this in the past in many other places. So we said we can put this thing together, and either we were stupid or brave or both. Okay, but we said yes, and believe it or not, we delivered. There was beer and grocery store for Christmas. I don't know if all of you remember that 2015. It was a lot of I had to cancel my vacation and all that, but we got that done. So And then come to this year, it actually got even bigger. That was only like 450 stores. This is now 4,000 stores right now, but it's 8,500 stores that we're going live with very soon. So just a little bit about what we did here. We have some technology that we work with IBM. So Sailesh and the team here, we're partners, also OEM partners with IBM. So we OEM some IBM software in there, but it is sold as a SaaS solution. So one thing with IBM, we do say if it works, it works. It works robustly. It works very well, and we've been doing that for a long time. But Karen, you want to talk to people about how we went about doing this? I mean, especially getting people on board, and here we're actually also, we're looking at getting automation. We got convenience stores today. A lot of convenience stores need also communication in different languages. We actually hired people who can speak Korean, who can speak different other languages, because there's a lot of ethnic people that run these convenience stores, and for us to be effective and efficient, we have to be able to talk their language as well. So and train people how to use the software and stuff. But Karen, over to you. I mean, from a technology standpoint, I think we kind of worked in a very agile manner, and this is one of those projects which you couldn't come back and say we need more time. We were just told this had to get done, and then we had to go back and make sure it's done. So it can get done. I mean, if we start thinking in an agile manner, and we kind of had to communicate with our customers, educate them that hey, if you knock off a couple of things, I mean, if you can get the car out without the radio, without the heated seats, hey, let's push it out, right? And we'll get those heated seats and the radio later. Right? But that's something that I think took us some time to convince people, because sometimes customers expect everything. So if you think in a more agile fashion, lots can get done. So on that note, Karen, if you want to give a little.
Yeah, just a little bit of information, about the entire project. That way, you have an idea what the extent of work that actually had to be done within that small time frame of 6 weeks. So when we're talking about the supply chain for bringing up beer into grocery, we're actually talking about an ecosystem of grocers where, these are the grocery, Loblaws, Metro, Walmart. We're talking about these kinds of organization. And then there's LCBO, in between, and then of course the end users, the vendors who are doing the fulfillment. So we're dealing with 3 different kinds of users who will actually log into our system and interact with each other using, and we need to sew them together and make sure that everything is seamless from when the order is actually created to when it's released to the vendors for fulfillment to actual delivery of those goods into those grocery companies. So part of the complexity as well is these enterprise retailers actually have their own technologies as well. In order for them to interact with other groups, it's what we call EDI, electronic data interchange. I know some of you, you're hearing it for the first time, but a lot of you probably heard it as well. It's been there for many years. It's how enterprise organization communicate with each other. So that's something that we also leverage into the ecosystem of for this particular project. So yeah, so we after doing that deployment for the groceries, of course now the next step is to do convenience stores, and as Vijay was rightly saying earlier, there's a lot of support requests that are coming in because a lot of them are have very basic knowledge with technology, but all they care about is being able to put their order in and being able to receive those orders after they place them. So yeah, that's ultimately what we're right now in this particular project. That's what we're going to be leveraging. That's what we're looking to put in place, making communications easier for these convenience stores. Thank you.
And just a little bit, every day the price of alcohol changes in Ontario. I don't know if you guys knew it. There's a daily file that comes to us, and we got to upload this every day. So this is automation that we use in the back end to automate all of this stuff. So every day the price of alcohol changes. So if one of our vendors, one of the grocers orders alcohol today, tomorrow the price could be different. So we've got to make sure the price is the right, and it's almost 10,000 SKUs that have to be changed on a daily basis. So it's quite the exercise, and without automation, this wouldn't have been possible. So also in making sure that everybody has the licenses, and this is just very critical because the AGCO offers licenses by stores and by convenience. So we also make sure that all of that thing is taken care of. So just wanted to say that with automation, with the right technology, with the right team, anything is possible. Okay, so on that note, I think we'll move on to other things. And thank you very much, everybody at Tangentia and all our partners on this fantastic project. Congratulations to everybody at LCBO. Please go buy from the convenience stores. Okay, we don't get more money because they do that, but we love it that people do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Moving on to our next presentation, and this is a perfect segue about talking about supply chain and sustainability. Our next presentation is by the IBM sustainability team, presenting on elevating supply chain efficiencies with AI-enhanced data exchange with IBM. Presented by Shailesh Sarda, America leader for sustainability software. A bit about Shailesh. Shailesh is a strategic leader with 20 plus years of sales experience, working with Fortune 500 companies across the world in diverse industries, adept at building sales teams and driving broad software enterprise agreement. Shailesh, thank you for coming today for this event, and I would like to pass it on to you to present your story about sustainability. Thank you.
What an event, my God. Great speakers and fantastic knowledge that they have shared. Vijay started off with AI is the new AI. AI is the new UI. And he ended his presentation by saying be human. He also, I thought he said next event is on a cruise ship. Thank you. Kyoko talk about AI, talent, data, and risk. It's awesome, right? Everybody's talking about AI, but they also talk about the human element to the AI. They also talk about the data element to the AI, and they also talk about the risk associated with AI. Peter's fantastic presentation, efficiency to automation. He talked about how do you do discovery, digitization, get it in context, integration, interaction, and generation. Will's shows were fantastic. I loved the LLM. Lose lots of money. And I also loved his joke about how does AI clean up itself with a rag. I'll get to my presentation, but I just wanted to sort of share what I learned. So, Simon and Brad talked about how to get stakeholder support. Surti's, story about automating their paper-based projects into an automated, centralized process, returning great returns for themselves. So with that, what I wanted to talk about was a AI-infused supply chain, right? This is something that, in some way or shape, we've talked about all day long. So let's start off, get into it. Next slide, please. Maybe I should log this. Okay, no, there you go. Have you forgotten about our COVID era supply chain disruptions? These were the headlines, right? I was ordering groceries. I was the one who was causing, paper, toilet paper. And after a year or so, my wife showed me all the things that we had not used, right? But in fairness, right? These black swan events, right? Happen and will happen, right? Somebody talked about potential strike, by the Canada Air staff. Even had a rail strike, I believe, right? A few weeks ago. So these continue to happen. We talk about, manufacturing locations in Asia Pacific region getting shut down, or, the war, impacting us, or, geopolitical pressures like tariffs, etc., can significantly disrupt your supply chain. So how do you sort of handle all of that, right? The cost of supply chain disruption is huge, right? You have missed orders, you have overstocked items, right? So there are various ways, or your suppliers can call, your customers can charge you essentially penalties, right, for non-performance, etc. Whichever way you look at it, if you not manage your supply chain efficiently, it can cost you a lot of money. And just like in Surti's example, right? They talked about all the departments that have to work with each other and how they are dependent on each other and how it impacts their end-to-end supply chain, right? So whether you look at a retail organization, a manufacturing organization, or any kind of organization, everybody is trying to resolve these supply chain issues, right? What I'm going to talk about is what our IBM's Institute of Business Value does research about, right? They go and talk out to the C-suite, they talk to the CIOs, the CEOs, the Chief Supply Chain Officer, and they sort of understand what trends are in the marketplace, how people are trying to solve these problems, right? So there are some insights from there. And what they're talking about is generative AI is on people's mind, right? They are trying to solve these problems using generative AI. While we can make jokes about, right, the risk associated with it, right, the cost associated with it, but there is no getting away from it, right? It's a tsunami that we are all going to sort of face. Things are going to change. Things are going to get automated. Things are going to get, where you are going to use AI for all your purposes. There are, things that the Indian Institute of Business Value is talking about is what CIs need to know and what they need to do, right? So what I'll do is just fast track this. There are three categories in which they put those information, and this is sort of, that's why I wanted to recap, kind of themes that you've heard. So data is a theme, right? Unless you get your data right, you can't get your AI right. But this is possible now, right? For you to be able to get all your data in one place is really possible now, right? Not only is it possible to get the data that you normally use, but it is also possible to get the data that is hard to get. So for example, in your case, you guys talked about how do I get data from my documents? How do I extract that data and use it so that I can, act upon it, right? In other industries, we've seen, how can I get weather data and use that weather data to make decisions, right? So these are kind of data that is available, but it is not used in decision making. I call them, the industry term for that is dark data, right? So while you have a lot of information that you can centralize and use, but there is a lot of other information that you've not been using that you can use. And I think, you guys talk about it, right? How do you prioritize, the problems that you're going to take to solve, right? So once you have all this data in a centralized location, then you can help understand what are the priority business processes that can give you the biggest bang for your buck. Large language models, right? I think one of the questions was, about all the publicly available large language models. If you ask the same question, it will answer the same way. And that's the first step to learning AI, right? When you combine these publicly available large language models with your own IP, with your own business processes, and you train them to learn your business, that's when you get the true value of AI, right? So each project will be about training the model for your own specific use. The other thing is, instead of thinking about it as an enterprise implementation, what people have been talking about is thinking about it as an AI assistant for a specific task, right? So you make it smarter and you make it more focused. Therefore, it is easier to train, costs you less, and it does more productive work for you. So let's go to productivity, right? It is about human and technology chemistry, right? It's not about eliminating humans, it's about getting humans to do much more intelligent work and get them out of the routine and mundane business, right? So this is not about people losing their job at all. Getting the process improvement, that's exactly the word that I heard you, when Brad talked about, the business is expecting more value out of this automation, right? And that's when they started thinking about, I think the word I wrote down is rethink process, do more collaboration, right? And therefore get more value out of so identify those processes which will give you value, and do the AI assessment, right? Instead of thinking about an enterprise-wide implementation, you think about your department, your person, and create an AI system to solve those problems. Now, finally, one is just automating, and then another is generative, right? How do I do predictive work? How do I make the machine learn my business, and how do I depend on the machine in a way in which I can trust it to make decisions for me? So that would be the maturity that you will be getting to once you get into AI. And how does IBM help you? So what we have done is we have created a supply chain aware application, right? And in any organization, whether it's a small business or a large business, there are lots of systems, OMS systems, TMS systems, WMS systems, and so on and so forth, right? Accounting systems. And then there are lots of spreadsheets moving around, helping put together the data, right? So what this does is sits on top of all those systems. It does not replace them. It sits on all of those systems. So now you've got your data right. Once you've got your data right, you can apply workflows and intelligent automation on top of it to make intelligent decisions. So this is how it works, right? End-to-end integration using the supply chain aware application, which can help you implement business rules, which can help you implement AI, and show you potential decision paths until you trust it, right? Once you trust it, you can automate those, but for now it will make a recommendation and then you can decide. But if these events or exceptions in your supply chain will come to the work queue of the relevant person. So we talked about all those supply chain professionals. So you can create work queues for each of those supply chain professionals, so they get every day a list of things that need their attention and then they can action on it. So here's the workflow of how things work, right? The magic behind it is get the data from your system of records, process and analyze it, visualize that data, create work queues, and then create automated decisions using AI. And the application is built in such a way that I think we'll talk about, right? You know, the values added by the consulting firms, right? So how do you extend it and create a personalized application for your own organization? So we allow and expose the data models. We allow you to create your own UL models. We allow you to write your own AI and create tenants which can be shared with your entire ecosystem. So the power here is, right, if all the agents, all the finance companies, right, that you're interacting with can share and have visibility to the data that you want to share with them, the power is extraordinary. And the efficiency and the benefit that the entire ecosystem will get is tremendous. The magic here is achieved by Watson X. You know, chatbots or API calls, Watson Assistant Services, Watson AI, Watson Discovery and automation capabilities. But the key here is, you know, training these models for your own business. That would be the panacea, right? You know, instead of just relying on these large language models that are available, a lot of them are free. But you train them for your own business, you tune them for your own business, therefore it consumes less tokens, costs you less money, and gets you the best responses that you expect out of them. Some of the supply chain use cases, reducing out of stock. You know, if you're out of stock, you lost business, right? Consumer is very finicky. You know, they will not come again. You lost the customer. Forget about the sale. You know, how do you avoid approaching out of stock? Not even out of stock, but approaching out of stock. So you can take action while you can, right? And save the sale. You know, if you're in manufacturing, you know, how do I, instead of tracking everything, I want to track most of my critical supply items, right? How do I take care of that? Or if I'm in, a business such as in a hospital, how do I make sure that things that I need are available so that, doctors can operate on the patients when they need to. So there are lots of yes sir, I'm almost done. There are lots of use cases that can be built upon this. I just gave you a couple of examples over here. At the end, you are able to create actionable insights, smarter workflows, and intelligent automation using these, this application, which is supply chain specific and supply chain aware application. You guys may have seen lots of ads, seen lots of TV commercials these days. The new IBM wants to first demonstrate that we can do this. Our technology can do this, so we'll invest on our own time with you, to work with you to identify those use cases, prove those use cases before you make a commitment to IBM. So take this offer from us where we'll come and work with you to help you learn and co-create. My information is here. I am available all day. I don't know how to golf, but I may join one of the teams to hang out with you guys and have some beers. I appreciate you guys' time and talk to you soon. Any questions for me? All right.
Thank you so much, Shailesh, and it was really insightful. Our next presentation is by Dave Person. He's the AI solutions engineer from the IBM sustainability team. A bit about Dave. Dave is a strategic and highly skilled artificial intelligence solutions engineer with over 25 years of experience, including 8 years of management experience. And he is proficient in building and strengthening C-level relationship, key partnerships, and enterprise account management. And astute at handling complex negotiation sales cycles, consistently exceeding KPIs and other targets. And I would like to now invite Dave on stage to present on powering smarter sustainability strategies and insight into IBM Envisy and how it transformed this space. Over to you, Dave.
Thank you. So I know I'm batting cleanup in between us and lunch, so I'll try to be as concise and as thorough as possible. So welcome everyone. Dave Prasad, one of the engineers at IBM in our sustainability division. Just a little bit about me. So thank you for the introduction to my undergrad in spatial analysis. Did my master's in engineering and systems engineering at Georgia Tech. Been in the industry for coming on 25 years. A few different companies I've worked for nationally, internationally, and right now my focus is supporting the sales team, specifically on our sustainability division. With me here today is a couple people from IBM, and specifically Christine Gray-Shannon, who's in the back. Wave, Christine. Christine would normally dance into a jig at this point, but we're pressed for time, so I've asked her not to do that. I've asked her not to do that many times. Today she's definitely not going to do that. So we're going to talk about ESG. We're going to talk about why this is important, what's different, what's changed, why this becomes the most critical thing that you can look at in your business. Regardless of political affiliation, what your thoughts are on carbon reporting or so forth, what I want you to think about and what I think most organizations are now focused on is ESG, or the fact of where we are within the space, really is a mechanism for cost recovery. That's what I really want you to take out of today's conversation. The ability to look at what our costs are, look at operationally what we can do, and how we can recover those costs operationally and be more profitable. That's the focus of ESG. Yes, there's targets that we've set internationally, and we're going to get there. We have to get there. This is really important. But what is going to drive the demand and how we execute in there is how do we get that data, how do we analyze what we have, and how do we make the best possible business decisions so our organizations are optimized, we're profitable, and we're successful moving through the future. We talked about earlier about where things are from today with the maturity models within, from the internet to where we are, from AI to where we are today. The maturity model of ESG is where we're in the infancy right now. There's no one in this room, there's no one in the world that today will say, yes, I'm on point to the 2050 Paris Accord mandates that eventually are going to come. This is going to be a thing. But again, what I want you to focus on is how do we get there, and how does that data help an organization be more profitable? How can I be more successful? What I'm starting with, though, is this is more of a we thing. This is not somewhere we're going to get to collectively. Yes, there's lots of tools out there, but the strategy has to be with those partnerships. Specifically, so once again, VJ and company with Tangentia, I couldn't possibly think of another company that you should be having these conversations with. Obviously, I'm here to support those conversations. And Christine, we're here for all day, and of course moving forward, but this partnership will happen. So, because we're in a golf course, let's talk about golf. Let's talk about sports. Forget golf. Let's talk about sports. There's a very interesting thing that happened in 1984. I'm not sure if any of you are basketball fans. What was the biggest thing that happened in 1984?
I was born.
You were born. Christine was born on a basketball court in 1984. Basketball. What happened? You said Chicago Bulls. What did the Chicago Bulls do in 1984? They drafted Michael Jordan. Who said that first? Okay, Doug gets 100 points. Points actually don't mean anything, but the more points you have, the more bragging rights you're going to get at the end of the day. Doug's got 100 points to start. You were there. You were almost there, but you did. Okay, so 1984, the Bulls draft Michael Jordan. So what happens after that 1984 season? They draft Michael Jordan, and they lost. Yeah, they lost. They lost terribly. They couldn't make it past the playoffs. They're like, wow, we got the greatest basketball player that's ever played, dominated at North Carolina. We got him, and then they lose. So the next year, of course, now he's matured into the player that he is. Second year, so in the 86 season, the Bulls, what happens? They lose again. This is like, this is outstanding. So fast forward. Next draft, they draft someone else. Who did they draft? Scottie Pippen. Who said that? These points will actually, if you get 2 in a row, they multiply. So Doug's have a multiplier. That's 150 point. Sir, you're falling behind. I'm sorry. This is really Doug's now at 250. The rest of the audience, I should have picked a different sport. He's using AI. He's going through. He's trying to get ahead of my presentation with AI. So they draft Scotty, and then what happens? They lose again. They lose again. How is this possible? You have the 2 best players that play off of each other. Fast forward, they get who? No, well before Dennis Rodman. Jeez, Phil Jackson. Yeah, Phil Jackson, who was a former player. If you haven't read his book, by the way, you need to read his book. They get Phil Jackson, and Phil decides that he's going to implement what? The triangle offense. The triangle offense moves the ball around, gets the ball out of Jordan's hands when he needs to, move it to someone else. Who's the brainchild of the triangle offense? Oh, now I'm pushing sports on. What is this? No, close. Tex Winter. So Tex is this guy. He's about this tall, white hair. It doesn't look like he's ever played basketball, but he did. And Tex is the brilliance behind the data of what's happening on the floor. Tex figures out everything that's going on. Tex looks at every player in the NBA, decides it doesn't matter how good Jordan is. It doesn't matter how good Scotty is. And then when they get Dennis Rodman, who said it doesn't matter. The difference is how you're playing. How do we get that data? How do we analyze this and how do we execute this? This is the same fundamentals you do in every aspect of business. This is, so if you've read that book, Dan Sullivan's, and the name's lost me. It's the how, not the we, that we look at. Yes, you have incredibly smart people in your organization. You have business partners, and you have vendors, but it's the collective. This is what we do. This is how we are going to get here. This is how we are going to do this in a manner that helps you execute. The numbers are the numbers. Nobody remembers statistics. As someone who did an undergrad in stats, we used to say 3 to 5 people can be manipulated by statistics. Everybody knows this. It's a terrible statistics joke if you like math. Actually, sometimes it'll be even like 5 out of 4 people. 4 to 5 dentists. Anyway, the statistics are the statistics. Everybody wants to do this, but really what's happening is, how do we pull all of this stuff together? And so we have this platform. It's called Invisi. It's been in the market for 15 years. We work with some of the largest organizations in the world. We provide them with the ability to bring all of that data together. Think of what did you do in your organizations before your CRMs? You were managing by Excel. You were trying to figure out how to get a handle on things. In carbon, in your ESG reporting, your environmental, your social, and your governance, there are tens of thousands of inputs in there in your organization. It is humanly impossible for you to be able to pull that data together to create frameworks to make appropriate business decisions. You just can't. So how do we bring that in? How do we go out, bring all that data together, put it in a format for different areas of your business so you can see where you're at today, where you were with historics, apply that to language models, apply that to AI, make that allow for your organizations to make the most appropriate business decisions around improving your operational status. So yes, 95%, everybody's got a plan. So go back to sports. What was the Mike Tyson quote about everybody has a plan? Yeah, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Yeah, this is what's going to come down when the concept of the governance that kicks in within ESG. But right now we're sitting at I think that number at 10% might even be inflated. We're starting, but we need to do better, and we need to. The difference is that fractional input, that fractional reduction. For those of you that have spent those times, those hours in doing business learnings or business schools or so forth, the concept of the power of one was that state that a $100 million organization reduction by 1% gives you 1% of 100 million. 1 million. There we go. right, gives you $1 million. It's pretty easy, right? A fractional change changes your operational costs. If you could come back to your organization and say, hey, look, we are going to cost recover $7 million this year. What could you do in your organization with $7 million? Let me rephrase that. How much money how much happier would VJ be if you gave him $7 million from every one of your organizations, right? And that is actually what VJ is going to be talking about, is that he's going to be able to come back to you and say, I'm going to give you money in that way. So think about it this way. Working with Tangentia, working with IBM, we are going to functionally be able to give you back money. This is what the ESG does for you. So I know we're running a little bit over, but what I wanted to do is actually, I'm just going to jump forward and just show you just some of the dashboards. We do scope 1, we do scope 2, we do scope 3. So scope 1 is your emissions from your fleet, your scope 2 is your organization, your scope 3 is your full supply chain. By the way, I'm the Canadian subject matter expert for supply chain. I work with Shailesh and the rest of the team globally here. So again, we talk to organizations across the world, across the country. These are things that we can do together. From a scope 3 perspective of your full supply chain, again, ability to pull all of this in, all the things that Shailesh talked about from a supply chain perspective, the inbound, the outbound, and of course what's happening in there. What does that cost? The changes that are happening coming down from a European perspective of how we are becoming functionally responsible for everything that we create. And it doesn't matter if you still own it or not. We have, I spend a lot of time with the business consumer space, even on things like the retail industry. So I'm not sure if you've seen what's happening with retail in Europe. If that manufacturer creates a suit jacket, well, what happens after this gentleman no longer needs a suit jacket? Who's responsible for that? The manufacturers can be responsible for that. They're going to be responsible for removal of that item from our entire existence. You can no longer just create something, oh, well, it's created and now it's your problem. If you've created it, it's everyone's problem. It's a person that created it. It's cascading through. So how do we change that, and how do we work through target setting and goal tracking? It's great. It's that GPS thing. So I have an idea where I want to go, but where am I? I have no idea where I am. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to where I need to get. So how do we bring that data together, the tens of thousands of points, analyze it, pull it together, view that in a manner that gets there? Frameworks. How do you comply on, so I'm not sure if any of you have had the pleasure or displeasure of ever dealing with the CRA. The challenge when you get audited, what do they say to you? What are they asking you for all the time? They're asking for receipts. And if you hand over a napkin that goes, it's like, through Dumb and Dumber, this is a Lamborghini. You may want to hold on to that. No, here's my receipt for $10,000, right? And they're like, I don't think that's real. Your Excel sheet that you're tracking right now, is that real? Is it auditable? Is it verifiable? No, it's what Joe created 2 weeks ago, and let's just go with that. The ability to put things into actual frameworks, from whether it be as simple as your Energy Star compliancy right up to UN regulations. We hold that capability of all 11 global frameworks, local frameworks within Envisio. Allows you to set that place. So how do you get to where you're getting? Again, you need to know where you are. This is what we can do. Ratings, benchmarks, again, all frameworks. The dashboards are there, they're built in. It's exceptionally easy to use. This is going to be the difference between your organization being run very well and your organization being run exceptionally. I think we all want to be in that exceptional space. I know your organization is run very well. If they wasn't, they wouldn't allow you to be golfing on Friday. That's otherwise you'd be in the office, right? So you're better than average. Let's make you even more so better than average. Tracking, so again, I know we're a little bit behind, so I'm going to just come through. What I just want to jump on at the end here is this is a team effort. Tangentia, IBM, yourselves, we're all in this together. We will help you get there. Think about this as cost recovery. Again, so I wanted to make sure I kept this on time as quickly as possible. I know I went very quickly. Please source me out, source Slash out, Christine. We're here to help. We're here to sit down with you and have that conversation. I'm here all day. My name is Dave Prasad. I will leave to your thundering applause. Please, by all means, start now. You can do better. We can go a little bit this is it. Doug won with points. I don't know. Doug's got bragging rights, so please, everyone, shake Doug's hand on the way out. He earned it. So thank you very much. Any questions? Again, I'm here, but we'll. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. One question. Yes.
So does it come with templates like on ESG short or reporting checklists?
Does it come with templates on ESG reporting checklists?
Yes. So ISO and now the CGSP are reviewing the ESG checklist. So does it come with like a template where companies can say, yeah, you can implement that, and don't worry, checklist that can all be.
Correct. Yeah. So there's numerous reporting frameworks that are in place. So depending on what your organization is, so I skipped through, but there are. We can talk about that again. There's dozens upon dozens of ways to create that auditable, verifiable space. So what's happening? So just a elongation on the answer to the question is, we are getting from our consulting counterparts within larger consulting firms, so say Deloitte, KPMG, EY specifically, organizations are going to them asking them to do an ESG audit.
Yes.
Okay. There is no regulations in place that say you have to do this or don't have to. But everyone's going for an ESG audit. But they're doing it right now. More often than not, and I'm not going to make up a statistic, but almost everyone fails the audit. Because the data isn't accurate, the data isn't verifiable. The data that they're actually looking for, they don't have, or they don't have available. The data's there, but they don't have that data available in a mechanism that says this is what it is, and this is in a framework that says, yes, this is verified. All right, so now we're getting those conversations, people coming back to us, go, okay, fine. We've recognized that we failed, now we are ready. So it's up to you. What I would suggest is the old Chinese adverb of the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Dave, this was wonderful, and I think today we were like it was a mighty, powerful summit. I mean, doing this for the last 4 years, and this has been unique, very close to my heart, because we have been able to achieve something really very intimate, and we were able to achieve something very powerful. I think if each one of us can take back something out of this event, I think we have a winning mantra for success. And with this, the food is already smelling good, so the food is right there. Some delicious cuisine out there, and I myself selected. If you don't like it, don't tell me. I would now like to request Vijay Thomas to give some closing comments for this tech summit. There's more for the day. The biggest thing coming up next is the golf, which will start at 2 o'clock, and then we regroup at the Mackenzie Hall in the next building for a formal dinner, awards, and some entertainment and cocktails. So please don't go away. Please join us for the remainder of this event. And thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you.
I'll keep this very brief. I think in 2.5 hours or 3 hours with breaks included, I think this was fantastic. This is let's give a big round of applause to all the speakers, all of you as well for the audience. It wouldn't be possible if you were not here as well. So fantastic. I think this is great. I got to name a couple of people that have been attending for a long time. I have Andre from Nations. Andre, this is your third one, I think. So thank you. We really appreciate people that have come. Brad, I think you've been here from the first edition. So thank you very much. I'm looking around the room. We want to have many of you coming more often. This is something that we started off. We got a couple of new people coming in. I want to, Owen from Decor Grades, they've been customers of ours for 15 years. We finally got them to attend, but thank you for coming. So this is fantastic, and I think it's a good camaraderie that we've built here. I think people, I think, Brad, your question about in 1995, were people doing this? Probably yes. I don't know, but I think, Peter, you kind of said, they did it, and maybe, do we want to be on the right side of history? I think that's the answer I think we're looking for. Why are we doing this? We want to make sure that we stay on the right side of history. We make those right decisions, and collectively, we use the collective wisdom of all the people in this room. That's why we bring smarter people. We bring them in from Boston and places like that, and they can tell us, they've got the ear to the ground. They do this for a living, and I think collectively we can be on the right side of history. So we take the decisions. We know we learn from other people's mistakes. So all that kind of stuff. So I think you've made the case for us to have this more often. We're going to have this next year as well. So make sure we'll follow our website. We'll let you know when it is. So please make sure you have your day free. And as Abhijit mentioned, lots more happening today. Thank you again. Any of you that are going to leave us at the end of the session, thank you for coming. Those of you who are going to stay with us, a lot more. And then those of you going, you're going to go to work, please come back for dinner. Right? So let's have fun. Okay, if not dinner, at least drinks. And I'm sure I got some extra coupons. Okay, so we'll take care of that. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice one. Bye.
it's a shame that you're supposed to see it as a line.